Worldwide, cases have now surpassed 60,000 after Chinese officials reported 15,000 new infections today. The death toll has continued to climb as well, with more than 1,300 dead from the virus. Health officials say a change in the way cases are tabulated caused the spike. It's not clear if the data proves the outbreak is bigger than previously thought.
Bruce Taft and Savannah Stanley have been traveling around Asia since July. They were supposed to come home this week on a connection through Hong Kong.
We messaged our airline and they replied back saying that it was canceled, but they weren't going to tell us until the day that our flight was supposed to leave.
There was nothing until like March 30th. And I was like, this is not going to work.
Taft and Stanley went to work and came up with a flight to the Philippines, home of the coronavirus bouquet.
But there were only 2 seats left 2 weeks ago, and that was the only flight to the U.S. within like the next 2 weeks.
Now the couple says they don't know what to expect.
Right now, we know for a fact that we're going to get physical assessments before we get on the plane to the Philippines.
Savannah Stanley says once back in the United States, she and Taft likely are still a long way from home. They anticipate some sort of quarantine. Surprisingly, Jonathan Griswold says his clients still feel the disease is fairly isolated and they are still headed to that part of the world. In Columbia since 2006 says the remains found by police Wednesday in the city landfill are in fact those of her daughter.
Deborah Schultz says investigators found the same clothing and jewelry her daughter Megan was wearing the day she disappeared. KRCG 13's Mark Slavitt joins us live from our Columbia bureau.
Carmen and Megan, Deborah Schultz told me the search for her daughter's remains in the Columbia City landfill was like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Columbia police found Megan Schultz's body in just 10 days after searching in a 4-acre section of the landfill. Court documents show Megan Schultz's former husband, Keith Comfort, placed Schultz's body in a black garbage bag and threw it into an apartment complex dumpster more than 13 years ago. Investigators suspected Schultz's body was in a small section of the landfill after they found dated materials from 2006 in a 4-acre area. Deborah Schultz says it is amazing that investigators found her daughter's body so quickly.
I've missed her very, very much. I wish she was intact enough to be able to go and hug and kiss her, but that's not possible.
Prosecutors have the option of charging Keith Comfort with first-degree murder instead of second-degree murder. Now that police found Megan's body, investigators plan to collect a DNA sample from Deborah Schultz tomorrow to confirm the body found in the landfill belongs to her daughter.
An attorney for Police Chief Lynn Wolford has filed a lawsuit against the city and its mayor.
The suit comes nearly a week after the mayor directed that Wolford be put on paid leave, and it alleges the directive was an act of retaliation. KRCG 13's Kyrie Lee joins us live from Ashland with the details.
Yes, the lawsuit alleges that on at least 2 occasions, Mayor Gene Rohr demanded Wolford to send Ashland police officers to his home to remove his girlfriend from the residence which they share. And making this request, the lawsuit says Rohr did not dial 911 or the general police phone number, but instead Rohr called Wolford directly. According to the lawsuit, Rohr's attitude toward Wolford began to, quote, sour after Wolford refused Rohr's request. It also alleged Rohr took retaliatory action against Wolford for refusing his request. I spoke with Board of Alderman Richard Sullivan, who says, speaking on behalf of himself, he has never been aware of any of the statements alleged in this current lawsuit. He says the board has strictly been discussing a personnel issue and none of the statements listed in the lawsuit. And he says right now those personnel issues aren't able to be discussed because of the Sunshine Law. Sullivan says Wolford is still an employee of the city and hasn't been terminated, but only placed on administrative leave. Now, tomorrow there is a Board of Aldermen meeting here in Ashland that will begin at 7 p.m. That is open to the public. But then following that meeting, Sullivan says there will be a closed discussion to discuss Wolford and the personnel matter. But for now, reporting live in Ashland, Kyrie Lee, KRCG 13.